I've just been everywhere. There's gotta be something. Somewhere new. Somewhere fresh, maybe. Somewhere magical.
Who made these straps? Look at them. You can't even tighten them. Who's using this? What am I going to do with all these?
And thank you, viewer, for tuning in yet again for another journey into the woods. This time we'll be testing something a little bit new and exciting as we venture deep into
If this bridge wasn't here, this would be perfect. Just perfect. I think that this might be the spot, but I don't know how to get there. Every single rock along this creek is placed just far enough that I can't jump it. I don't know. I've walked back and forth twice now. The things you people make me do. You know what the best part about this is? I forgot water. Not forgot it. I said I don't need that. I'm a young man. Young men don't need water. Why would they? Anyways, all of the spots that I considered did not work out, but that's fine because we found a nice little spot down here that I think will. I'm also being perfectly backdropped by butterflies, so if that's not a good sign, I don't know what is. So, if you're new to this channel, welcome. My name is Corey, and this is, for the most part, a landscape photography YouTube channel. The landscape photography, the actual photography, I will always basically be using this Nikon D3500 with the kit lens. The two kit lenses were provided, which was the telephoto and the standard kit lens, which is an 18 to 55. But the reason for this video today, and the reason I'm out here in a humid New Jersey day in late May, in Hackle, Barney State Park. The reason I'm out here today is because we just picked up this Nikon, bunch of initials, the 10 to 20 millimeter wide angle lens, which is a 15 to 30 millimeter equivalent on full frame. So the widest I could previously go on this Nikon was the equivalent of, I think, 27 millimeters, which is that's decently wide. You can get some good stuff with it, but with this I'm able to go all the way down to 15. Which would be very useful for something like real estate, but also fairly dramatic landscape photography, either capturing a subject or if I just wanted to go extra wide on a wide landscape, then I can do that as well. So I will take a photo of the camera here in front of me and show my previous focal length of 18 millimeters. And now I will zoom all the way out to where I'll be at here, which is 10. So as you can see, we can get a lot wider than we could before, which is very exciting, but also challenging, because wide-angle photography, I think, is tough. This is hard when I'm not an expert by any means, but from what I know and can understand, such a wide focal length is fairly unnatural to the human eye for the most part. Our eye actually kind of perceives different focal lengths depending on what we're doing. But for the most part, something like 15 millimeters is generally going to be very wide. So to the human eye, it's going to be a little distracting. At outright, that makes it a difficult task to make a pleasing image because there's so much in frame that you don't know where to draw your eye. Especially, this is different if you're just doing a wide landscape on the top of a mountain. But for something like where we are now, I want to practice kind of having a subject in the foreground, something in the background, making a bit more of drama to the scene than I could otherwise capture. And I'll use the other kit lens as well to see what the differences is with the same composition, if I can find something interesting. I personally am a fan of the normal focal lengths, so something like this is going to be new to me, and we'll also give a little review of it as well. So again, the whole purpose of my channel is to do kind of entry-level stuff here. I saw that this lens was on sale at B&H for $280, I think, and remembering the cheapskate that I am, for better or worse sometimes, is that I looked on mpb.com. I'm not sponsored by them, but I highly support buying used or previously used. This was picked up for $180 like new on mpb.com. And so saved $100 there. From what I can tell walking around work a few days ago, the optical quality seemed pretty fine. Everything turned smoothly. It came with the lens hood, the lens cap, and I bought a circular polarizer for it as well, which could also present some issues with a wide angle because so much of the sky can be in frame that parts of the image will be polarized and parts of the image won't be. So pretty interesting stuff here. But just came down to the water finally after attempting to find a spot to cross with some other interesting subjects here. But now I'm right at the shoreline. There's a huge rock behind me, as you can see, with a nice tree sticking out of it. And we'll see what we can do around here. So as I suspected, yeah, it's pretty difficult so far to find an image that I think will work. In a lot of ways, I think it is easier for me to find something with a different focal length, but that's just what I'm used to. So for $180, this is an excellent experiment to see what I can do, try something a little different. I don't suspect I'm going to take home any awards with any of the photography today, but it'll still be a neat little review of it to pixel peep a little bit if I feel like it. In this case of this composition, if you wanted to call it that, this tree coming out of the rock is a little too far from the cascades of water, which will make it difficult for that. So it's kind of hard to frame that up. And I think I'll have to go lower for the rest of this as well to get something a little more in the foreground. The lens is already a 4.5 to 5.6 aperture lens, so you shouldn't expect much shallow depth of field on an APS-C body regardless. But I think I'll have to get a little lower, maybe open up the lens a little bit more, and we'll see. But let's keep moving forward. This park is an exceptional lesson in the idea that not every pleasant scene makes an image, especially with this wide angle that I'm learning as well, because everything I'm seeing here is beautiful. The way the trees fall across the water, the way the water cascades through the rocks, it's all magnificent and a beautiful day regardless. But so many photographic opportunities do not exist where you see something pretty with your eyes, for a variety of reasons. And this is one example here. So I would highly recommend visiting this park, but it is difficult for photography. But it's very lovely. So this is, of course, one of the very useful images that comes from a wide-angle lens, and that is the close falling water element with the leading lines of more of the water in the background. So if I can't pull this off, we have a problem. Try something a little bit different maybe up here. Kind of do the same thing. And the actual very nice thing about this lens is that it has that optical image stabilization. So I don't think I can handhold over a second. A 1/13 of a second to be able to handhold would be pretty impressive with an arm out like this. Oh, the bugs, the bugs, the bugs, the bugs. Yeah, this is a tough little lens to try and use here, but that's kind of what I suspected would happen. I think I've said it several times in other videos, but the best camera and the best lens is the one that you have. So now I have this one and I continue to use it. Again, I'm excited for that trip upcoming at the end of the summer. Stay tuned for that. It will be going, I was going to say intercontinental, that's for missiles. Abroad. International. We'll be going international for that one. So stay tuned for that. Very excited. It's pretty cool what you can do with this, and I just need to practice with it a little more. So I have one more stop along this journey, and I'm also dying for water pretty severely. We'll do one more shot at that one waterfall, pretty proper waterfall that I passed on the way out here. What's also interesting, and I'll point this out here while I'm sitting and I'm finally away from the water where the audio quality is at least somewhat tenable, is that the main competition that's going to come from buying and owning a wide-angle lens is of course going to be this guy right here. That is everyone's cell phone camera, which for the most part, most modern ones, except for some budget ones, but even a lot of budget phone options come with the regular standard lens, which is again a 27, 28 millimeter lens, so that was my original width, but also a wide-angle lens. When you go upwards, then you get that telephoto lens. But for the most part, a lot of cameras have a wide-angle lens now, and I think this one on the Google Pixel 8 is 15 millimeters. So it will be interesting to compare maybe those. Of course, there's a lot of, I would say the lens itself is better on the Nikon, of course, but there's a lot of processing that goes into these cameras as well to make them appeal to a wide market. And I used them before. You could check out my Pixel 8 review and compare that. Comparatively to the Nikon, you can make good images, especially if you shoot with the RAW mode on these cameras. But I'd like to compare those two as well, but that might be for the future trip. I don't know how much longer I can take out here.
Unfortunately for my photography, there were plenty of other families and people around the waterfalls later in the morning, but it was still a very nice way to end cap that portion of the day. And that bookmarks our portion of the day at Hackle Barney State Park, but with just a quick Google search I found another good photographic opportunity just a few miles down the road. So I've switched over, speaking of wide-angle phones and everything like that, I switched over to the Pixel, and I'm currently at Willowwood Arboretum, which was just a little bit down the road from the state park, which is really nice. So as you can hear, very, very peaceful. And I brought the wide-angle lens out still, so I'm just walking around, again, not worrying about trying to video myself too much, but just to give an update on what I'm doing here. So trying a frame actually with this really nice looking tree right there. And we'll see how that turned out. So again, seems most useful to actually have a subject for when you're using the wide-angle lens. And a nice curated outdoor experience I think is exactly what I needed, which gave me what I think is my favorite photo of the day, being this one, as well as a few other moments just around that park. So please enjoy this sequence. All right, and that will do it. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning into this episode. And yeah, this has been a very interesting look with a new lens that frightens me in a lot of ways, but I think it's going to only be a good thing for my photography, for a skill to hone. It's another tool in the toolkit without being too expensive. It looks great. It's just fun. It's different, and I'm excited to use it more. So again, stay tuned for an adventure later in the summer, and I will see you guys in the next one. Take care.